The Prime Minister has reportedly reached a deal with his rebel backbenchers over its planned benefits changes. So, existing claimants of the Personal Independent Payment, PIP, to you and me, will allegedly continue to receive what they currently get. So there you go. That's the climb down. They are going to receive, reportedly, what they currently get, as will recipients of the health element of universal credit.
Just 48 hours ago, Keir Starmer stood before the nation, insisting that welfare reform was essential, that too many people were trapped in a broken system. Yet today, he's done a complete reversal. But here's the real story. Members of his own party are now openly voting against him. This isn't a mere policy shift, it's political self-destruction unfolding in real time. What we're witnessing is far deeper than disagreement within labor ranks. It's the systematic collapse of the Prime Minister's authority at the hands of his own backbenchers. And make no mistake, the fallout won't just remain inside Westminster. The consequences of this chaos are about to land squarely on the shoulders of every British taxpayer.
Don't forget, this was him just 2 days ago.
Must have a welfare system fit for the future, and the current model doesn't work. It desperately needs reform. It leaves people trapped and not able to get into work, and so we need to reform it, and that's what we will do.
2 days. That's all it took for Keir Starmer to move from boldly declaring the need for a modern, reformed welfare system to abandoning his own policy entirely. He stood at the podium, confident and certain, insisting that Britain's welfare model was broken and trapping people in dependency. But when pressure mounted from within his own party, MPs worried about losing their seats, the Prime Minister caved. Instantly. This isn't leadership. It's political cowardice in its purest form. Starmer pledged to break what he called the welfare trap. Instead, he's ensnared himself in a web of weakness, indecision, and contradictions. And that raises the crucial question: if he can't hold firm to a principle for 48 hours, how can the British public trust him to govern for 5 years? What other promises will vanish the moment political convenience demands it?
No, you won't, because this breaking news is this. Existing claimants of PIP will allegedly continue to receive what they currently get, exactly what they currently get, as will recipients of the health element of universal credit. So, there we go. Quite an embarrassment, that, Chris.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment. I mean, I can't argue for
there goes the Ofcom balance.
Yeah. Well, as a Labour man, I am embarrassed by this turnout, and I think that the MPs are the backbenchers that have been,
Oh, Chris, you keep saying this, but it's weak. A strong Prime Minister can carry his back or her backbenchers, like Blair did, like Thatcher did.
Here's what most political commentators won't say outright. This crisis isn't just about welfare reform. It's about a Prime Minister who's already lost control of his own party. A strong leader carries their backbenchers as Blair once did, as Thatcher did before him. But Keir Starmer, he's being overruled by MPs who haven't even done their homework. These aren't principled rebels fighting for policy integrity. They're self-preserving politicians terrified of losing their seats. When your own backbenches can push you into a full-scale U-turn just days after a flagship policy announcement, you're not leading a government, you're being led by the loudest voices in your party. And that sets a deeply dangerous precedent, because now, every Labour MP knows, if they panic, the Prime Minister will fold. So what happens the next time Britain faces an unpopular but necessary decision?
So,
I will just clarify. I think there's a turn of phrase used there that I think actually you meant cowardly, didn't you? That's what you meant. Yes, okay, well, good. You meant cowardly because sometimes in slang it can mean something else, which you did not mean.
Right, that's different.
That's good. It's very different.
Even the program's host couldn't ignore it, a slip of the tongue that said what many in Westminster are already whispering: Keir Starmer is a cowardly leader. The presenter's nervous correction and awkward backpedal revealed more than any headline could. It exposed the unease even among Labour's own rank supporters who can't defend their Prime Minister without accidentally revealing their doubts about him. When a single misplaced word sparks a full-blown on-air scramble, it tells you everything about the state of Starmer's leadership. He's become so politically fragile that allies are tiptoeing through interviews, afraid their honesty might show. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If Labour-friendly commentators are accidentally calling him cowardly in public, imagine what his colleagues are saying behind closed doors.
This is Labour MP Clive Lewis. He's tweeted this in the last few moments. He says, every MP will have to weigh up the deal for themselves. Alas, this smacks of a face-saving exercise more than it does doing right by my sick and disabled constituents. No impact assessment, no co-production with disabled groups, no deal. I'll still be voting against. And actually, I saw Diane Abbott tweet as well, or whoever writes her tweets, saying that she's going to be voting against. The only thing that will do for them is the total destruction of this bill.
Well,
it's gone to pot. He's caved in, and it's still not enough.
That would be the total humiliation.
Clive Lewis just launched what can only be described as a political execution, not against the opposition, but against his own leader. His tweet, no impact assessment, no co-production with disabled groups, no deal, wasn't mere criticism. It was open rebellion. And he's not standing alone. Diane Abbott has joined the revolt, confirming what many in Westminster already suspect. Keir Starmer's latest U-turn hasn't repaired the damage, it's made it worse. This is Starmer's leadership in full view. A cycle of pain without progress. He took the backlash for announcing reforms, endured humiliation for reversing them, and is now being punished yet again because his MPs still refuse to back him. Lewis's message was clear: Starmer's compromise isn't leadership, it's political theater, a hollow gesture designed to save face rather than deliver results. When members of your own party are publicly branding your policies as empty and inadequate, authority evaporates. The question now is unavoidable. How can a prime minister govern when his own MPs are determined to tear down his legislation before it even leaves the chamber?
Look, there's no point giving in. There are certain sectors in society that I think there's no point even thinking about, right? So radical Islamists are one of them, because there's nothing you can ever do that appeases them. The radical green lobby, that's another lot. I think the radical LGBT, there's nothing you can ever do that appeases these people. The rabid anti-monarchists, again, what's the point? Keir Starmer's finding out here, isn't he now? So he's in order to try to win reform voters, he thought he'd do his big Island of Strangers speech, which went down like a cup of cold sick with anyone on the left, so he lost them.
I thought it was good.
Here's the uncomfortable truth about Labour today, when you won't often hear in the mainstream press. The party has boxed itself into an impossible corner, trying to appease factions that simply cannot be appeased. Political analysts have long pointed to the growing influence of hardline ideological blocs within Labour's orbit, radical activists from various movements who see compromise not as progress, but as betrayal. These groups aren't interested in policy nuance or balanced governance. They demand total ideological submission. Keir Starmer believed that softening his stance, even abandoning core welfare reforms, might win their support. It didn't. The backlash was immediate and unrelenting. This is the trap Labour has built for itself. A party attempting to govern while beholden to forces that reject moderation altogether. And in politics, when you try to placate the unappeasable, you end up pleasing no one and appearing weak to everyone. Starmer is discovering, perhaps too late, that you can't lead a country while constantly negotiating with those who refuse to accept the very system you're trying to run.
There's two things. He talked about 39 billion in the spending review. Talk about 39 billion for housing. That doesn't mean anything unless it's repeated in the budget, etc., etc. Let's see how long that 39 billion remains 39 billion. Of course, we talk about 5% on defence, but that's over and 5 years, I think it is. The 10 years, excuse me. Let's see if that money actually materialise. But there's one thing I can guarantee you will materialise: tax rises. Right. Now, where those tax rises are, we don't know, because the fundamental mistake the government made is promising not to raise income tax and corporation tax. And the problem with that is that's 70% of their tax take. So now they have to raise all the small taxes again and again and again, but they're the ones that really bite.
Here's where the consequences of political weakness hit home, right in the pockets of working Britons. Massive tax rises are now all but inevitable. The government has boxed itself in, having pledged not to touch income tax or corporation tax, the two pillars that make up nearly 70% of total revenue. So where will the money come from? The answer is simple and deeply unfair. From the smaller, quieter taxes that ordinary people can't escape. Fuel duty, council tax, stamp duty, inheritance tax.
Realistically, how long can this guy survive?
Well, Angela Rayner's going to be massively on manoeuvres now, isn't she? I mean, she's looking incredibly comfortable the last couple of weeks at the dispatch box. Clearly, she enjoys it. Which is something that Starmer doesn't, and presumably there are going to be other Labour front benches.
That'll be the end of the Labour Party, as we know, if Angela Rayner ever gets there. What Keir Starmer's done is at least calm them down for now. We've got other bits of news that's in there talking about.
While Keir Starmer flounders, Angela Rayner is quietly and effectively on maneuvers. At the dispatch box, she looks composed, confident, and entirely at ease. That's not coincidence. It's calculated political opportunism. Rayner clearly relishes the spotlight, something Starmer has never seemed comfortable with, and ambitious Labour MPs are taking notice. When a prime minister appears weak, deputy leaders start to look like contenders. But here's the real danger. If Rayner were ever to take over, it could mark the end of the Labour Party as we know it. She embodies the very instincts that made the hard left unelectable: class warfare rhetoric, hostility to business, and an economic outlook that would make even Jeremy Corbyn blush. Starmer may be indecisive, but at least he occasionally nods to fiscal reality. Rayner, on the other hand, would likely embrace a full-blown spending spree, a socialist experiment that could send Britain's markets into panic. Investors are already uneasy after Starmer's welfare U-turns. Imagine their reaction to a Rayner premiership. In just 1 week, Keir Starmer has managed to alienate supporters, embolden critics, and prove to the public that he lacks the resolve required for leadership. From broken welfare pledges to desperate concessions, from failed reform promises to appeasement of the party's hard left, this has been a textbook case in how to dismantle one's own authority. And that's the real story here. This isn't about one weak prime minister or one botched policy. It's about a government that's already lost control, with backbench rebellions erupting, tax rises looming, and financial markets losing faith in Britain's political stability. Now, Angela Rayner is positioning herself as the strong alternative, when even Labour-friendly commentators are accidentally calling their leader cowardly on air. It's clear how far things have fallen. The question isn't whether Starmer can survive, it's how much damage he'll inflict on the country before his party finally decides to replace him. And if the hard left now knows it can force any U-turn at once, prepare yourself. The next wave won't just be political chaos, it'll be economic pain. And for working families, the price will be staggering. What do you think comes next? Will Starmer finally find his backbone, or will Angela Rayner be walking into number 10 before Christmas?